You might ask, do you have to condition your polymer clay? The simple answer is yes, because it helps prepare and soften your polymer clay, making it easy to work with. Hi guys, I'm Mel, the sculptress and artist from Two Feathers Gallery based in Australia. First, we'll learn pretty much everything you need to know about conditioning polymer clay in a few minutes. Then move on to a couple of demos showing you 2 different hand conditioning methods. After that, I'm going to walk you through how to condition your polymer clay with a manual pasta machine and then an electric pasta machine. It's my hope that by the end of all of that, you will find out what conditioning method is going to work for you. Let me show you why it's important to condition your polymer clay by comparing this conditioned polymer clay on the right with the clay straight off the block on the left. I'm using an acrylic roller to show you the difference. The unconditioned polymer clay on the left has cracks and little bits falling off it, while the conditioned clay on the right is smooth, holds its shape, and has clean, straight edges. Let's roll them up and see how they handle and behave. I feel like this really demonstrates our goal. I think we can all agree that the conditioned clay is pliable and workable, whereas the unconditioned clay would be very difficult to use. Before you go for a jog or exercise, you need to warm up and have a bit of a stretch. And the same is needed when conditioning your polymer clay. Some ways to warm it up include using the heat of your hands to warm it up while squeezing the polymer clay, sitting on your polymer clay that I like to call butt warming it. There are creative ways of warming it up. Another one is putting it into a sealable bag and then into a bowl of warm water for 15 minutes or so. When you're starting out, I recommend using soft clays in smaller quantities as you can roll and knead it by hand. Secret tricks. There are a few of those. And one of them is to mix in a little bit of translucent clay, and that will help. The next one is to apply a tiny amount of Vaseline, baby oil, or liquid Sculptor, which is also known as liquid clay. This works wonders. This red polymer clay here is dry and very old, and you might need to put it into a sealable bag with some baby oil or Cernit Magic mix and leave it aside for a week or so to soak up all of that moisture and get it soft and working again. Compare that to this soft, fresh green polymer clay I have here and put it through the pasta machine that's conditioned nicely. And when you fold it, it doesn't crack. You'll get a feel for it over time. That's what I like to call the crack test, and it's one of the best indicators of whether your polymer clay is conditioned properly or not. This glittery silver polymer clay does not pass the crack test, as you can see, therefore it needs further conditioning. I'll show you more of these important indicators later in this video. A pasta machine makes the process much quicker and easier, especially if you are wanting to condition larger quantities. If your clay has gone the other way and it's way too soft and sticky or oily, then you can simply leach some of the oil out of it by putting it between 2 sheets of copy paper and then resting a book on top for about 10 to 15 minutes. To condition by hand, the best way I found that works for me is to condition about 1/4 of a block at a time and to take a tissue blade and chop up really small, thin slices of the block. It makes the polymer clay easier to blend together. Next, let's squish the polymer clay together by kneading it with our hands, and the heat of our hands will warm it up at the same time. Roll it into a coil. The next part is really cool. I feel like it is anyway, because we are going to fold one side in, followed by the other side, instead of just folding 1/2 over. That means that we're speeding up the conditioning time by folding it twice. This really simple technique will save you a lot of time. And I'm rolling again and keep repeating this process. You can roll it in both of your hands to get the heat of your hands into the clay every now and then if you like. Please let me know if you like this technique that I came up with. You can stabilize one of your hands while rolling the clay against it with the other one. It means that you're getting the heat of your hands into the clay instead of doing it against the cold tile. An alternative to the coil method is to use the rolling method. Grab a rolling tool of some sort used only for polymer clay. As before, we're going to use the same folding technique where we fold both the ends into the middle, press it down, and we're going to turn it 90 degrees, and then we flatten it out with a rolling tool. This is a hollow acrylic roller that I'm using here. If your clay sticks to your roller, you can always use a bit of cornstarch to rub lightly onto your roller to help you with that if you wish. Fold one side and then the other side and keep turning it again and just keep on rolling. Those of you with very keen eyes may have noticed that the polymer clay starts to get a little bit shinier as it becomes more conditioned. It's finally time to show you the crack test again. I never get sick of it. I want to see it over and over. And there are no cracks, which means that this has been successfully conditioned and we can use this piece of clay now. Woohoo! Hurrah! Now I'm going to show you how to condition a whole block of polymer clay. Tap around the edges and on the top and bottom with either a rubber mallet or a solid acrylic roller. The next step is to use the roller on the edges and the front and back of the block of clay. Let's do that now. You can see the curve on the side when you look at the block of clay, which is what you want. You can already see, if you look closely, there used to be some channels down the front of the clay and they have filled up, which means that the polymer clay is already starting to bond and blend together, which is a great sign. Let's open up this polymer clay and get it ready to go in the pasta machine. With this rigid tissue blade, we are chopping very thin slices and joining them together. I probably should have chopped them much thinner than this, just because it's easier to get them through your pasta machine and you don't have to roll the clay so much. Slightly overlap the pieces by a few millimeters and press the clay down so that they stick together. Use your roller and you'll see that they start to blend and stick together nicely. We always want to start with putting it through the thickest setting of your pasta machine to start. I have a really messy studio, and if I had have spent a lot of time cleaning it up, it would have taken like forever. So apologies for that, everyone. This is my manual pasta machine. Even though it was really thick, you can see that my manual pasta machine handled it pretty well. You can see it's a little bit dirty. I'm not too worried about that at the moment. There's a few options on how to put your clay through your pasta machine. You can fold it in half. The most important thing about positioning your polymer clay in your pasta machine is not to go in this direction. The reason being that if you put these two sections through the pasta machine and run it through, then air has the opportunity to creep up and under and into your clay. That means that it may create some air bubbles in your clay, which we don't really want. That's why we always put the clay into the pasta machine with the folded side facing down. You can see this is really dirty, and if that happens, just scrape it off with a tissue blade or something like that. It's no big deal. Let's pop it through again. You can see that the edges are a little bit raggedy-do, a little bit scrappy-do, and oh my gosh, my gloves kind of coming off. And yeah, so we want to try and get those nice and clean and straight. If you've got scrappy-do edges, this is an indication that your clay isn't quite conditioned yet and may need a little bit more work. As before with the other technique, you can actually fold the sides in towards the middle and run it through. Because we're using this technique, it's really important not to put the clay in this way or this way. We only want to pop it in that way. The reason why that is because it doesn't create air bubbles when we put it in this way, because they can escape out of the top. There's a little bit they can get through and woo, they're off into the world again. Let's run that through. Let's do it again. So we're going to fold one side in and the other side. Now, instead of putting it in this way where the air bubbles would get trapped, we're going to turn it around so that they can escape out the top. Woohoo! And you can also pinch the edges and the part that you're going to put into the pasta machine as well, which also helps. And we'll pop it through again. It's still looking a little bit raggedy. We're going to move over to the electric pasta machine now. This is an Atlas 150 electric pasta machine. It has a power cord. Once again, we're always going to start conditioning our clay on the thickest setting. On this machine, it's a 0. I'm just showing you how to do it by folding it in half, and you can run it through with the folded side down. Also, you could choose to turn it and put it through this way as well. And you may or may not have noticed that it is looking a little bit shinier, and that is one of the indicators that it's becoming more conditioned. And you can see how silky it's starting to look. The edges are also looking a lot cleaner. Let's do a sneaky little crack test right now. Ooh, yes, it is conditioned. Wasn't expecting that. It's already done. It's perfect. It's ready to go. There's no cracks. If there were cracks, you'd have to keep on going. But wait, I am going to show you another technique which is going to speed up your conditioning time even more. We've got a dial here on the right hand side of the machine. It gives you the option to make your polymer clay thinner as the numbers go higher. The idea is to take it step by step until you get a thinner sheet of clay. We started on 0, so I've put it down to setting number 1 for this pass. Now I'm going to take it down to setting number 2, and this is particularly good to do with the harder types of polymer clay. At this stage, I'm not folding it. All I'm doing is making the sheet thinner. Let's go to number 3, number 4. It's gotten quite large now. I think I'm going to stick with setting number 4. I'm going to fold it and put it through and continue doing it on a thinner setting. Because you've spread it out over a larger surface area, it's going to help condition it a lot faster. Thank you so much for joining me in this tutorial. I hope that you enjoyed learning how to condition polymer clay in 50 million bajillion ways. And I will see you in the next video.